talk about the difference between social ventures and nonprofits. Now, I have a master's in nonprofit administration and management, and I actually spent quite a bit of time raising money for them. I worked for National Community Development Services, which is basically a what's the word? Marines for fundraising. They have something called the Max Fund method, which is a awesome system, very systematic approach that raises funds between a 9 to 12 month period. That is based upon basically leveraging. The first thing you do, go into a community and you interview stakeholders, and then the second thing, you go back in there and you leverage them up from their existing pledge. It's key that you find basically a pace-setting pledge that allows you to raise the remaining pledge. So if you notice what I did with Help Japan Co. is, I need to raise 100,000. So in order for me to raise 100,000, I need technically speaking, I should have a 20% lead, but a 10% is fine. 10 to 20% of whatever you're going to do is a good amount for a lead. So if you want to raise $1 million, then you got to have 100,000 to 200,000 pledge. So that's pretty simple. It's very simple math. So the difference really between a collaborative approach, the approach of a social venture and that of as a nonprofit is this: is one, the focuses are different. Okay. The focus of a nonprofit is really providing humanitarian need to the victims, okay? To the victims. And that may be clothing or food and all the other stuff. A venture, social venture initiative or enterprise is focusing on actually the providers, which you can call integrators, who are working with the government to provide services. So you come in and provide those individuals with solutions and services.
You're gonna break it, Mikey.
It's okay, let them break it. So the other thing is that a social venture does not have any restrictions in regards to how it uses money. What does this mean, though? One of the limitations of a nonprofit is you can't invest your money to make money, right? So the difference between a profit company and a basically social venture company is that basically those profits are shared among shareholders. Whereas in a social venture company, they're not. Maybe at some point and sometime they will be, or periodically. Like I said, it every 5 years. So for 5 years you cannot, and then at the end of those 5 years, basically you set it so maybe 5% or 10% of the profits can be shared amongst its stakeholders. That's illegal with a nonprofit. You can't do that. Now, the other thing too is the nonprofit is very much, Mikey, is very much determinant on the support of its stakeholders. Okay, a social venture, once it's launched and once it's active, is really much it's a company, right? A company doesn't go around saying, "Hey, give me money, give me money, give me money." In many respects, if you look at it, a nonprofit is broken in many respects, because I believe that if you have successful social ventures, that those social ventures could actually donate. They could have a foundation, for example, whose whole purpose is to do one or two things. Same as nonprofits are today. So, take my example, right? I'm working on a social venture, and part of social ventures, I believe, are transparent. So you see all money in, all money out. I mean, that's one of my requirements. So if you are a stakeholder, which means if you've contributed, you're a stakeholder. The moment you contributed, you're a stakeholder. As a stakeholder, you get full transparency. And what it means is, you know, at any point you could actually look at the, the accounting and say, okay, they spent this much on administrative and so on and so on and so on. You have to just take your word for it from a nonprofit that's what they're doing. I mean, Red Cross says, oh, we only spend 8% on admin. They just say that. There's no proof. You take the word for it. I mean, I could say anything. So traditionally, what so I don't know if that makes a lot of sense to you if you understand the difference. They're apples and oranges. Social ventures are predominantly a relatively new thing. That's Mike over there. So I got my phone propped up here, so I'm just looking. So don't worry. I've been talking and driving for a long time, especially when my kids are in the car. I'm extremely cautious. You see me less looking at the camera and more always staring up front. And a lot of times I'm doing it, my wife's driving. Oh, I want to go this way. It helps going to the shopping center. So that was a good example. Yeah, you're really paying attention. I was in autopilot mode. Where am I going here? So I think with the differences, I think, so those are, some of the main characteristics. So what is Help Japan Co. going to do? Well, we're going to focus predominantly on providing services and solutions to integrators. And integrators, in this case, would be the various NGOs, the nonprofits, you name it, that are out there that have raised money and stuff for the victims to make their life better. What we do are actually coming up with innovative solutions that will improve on that. One of those innovative solutions is the onsenlet. The onsenlet is the onsen, right? The onsen is a bathing combined with a portalet. So the onsenlet will allow any survivor to basically shower and and take care of the personal hygiene matters. That is important. Personal hygiene is important, especially the Japanese. Now, onsenlets, we will make them and we'll provide them. We will first demo them and we'll put them to a number of shelters and see if people like them. If they do like them, I mean, there's 500,000 people that could potentially need one, or let's say one per 10. So there's take a zero off that. There's 50,000, right? So let's say we sold 50,000. Now that would translate, if they were 3,000 a piece, which is pretty much, multiply that by 50, and so it's 50, add basically 3 zeros. So you're looking at, I think, $50 million. Now, what do we do with that $50 million? We don't all of a sudden, hey, let's go have a party. No, what we do with that $50 million is we reinvest it in our next product, in our next line that we provide. So now, let's say we take that money and we actually produce a kind of a shelter for them, right? And or what we do is we take that and we actually make sure that every survivor, we provide these, safety systems bottles. And we make them available. We get them here. So, right now, nonprofits can't get them. I mean, they're expensive. They're over, and it takes time and everything else. We want to bring assets to where they are, and then basically provide them, take the profits of those of that transaction and reinvest in the community. So my goal is to keep doing that and come up with hopefully $1 billion that then we can create a microfinancing system where we use the interest of $1 billion to allow for the redevelopment of small communities like the one I'm driving in right now, where if you've lost your ancestral home, and I define an ancestral home, if you've lived there 3 generations, that's an ancestral home, then you can get it rebuilt with 0% interest loan, money up front. We give you the money up front, very little, with no collateral, and you can build it. That's what we can do, with $1 billion. And all of a sudden, you read articles in Newsweek and stuff like all these towns and stuff are going to disappear, and we say no, they're not. They're not going to disappear. We have a solution of doing it. The people have this misnomer that they think Japan's wealthy. The people of Japan have money, right? Don't get me wrong, the people have money. The only reason they have money is they save 30% of their income. 30%. We barely save 1% of our income. That's how different it is. The government is not wealthy, all right? The government is actually broke, and the government is going to be reeling with this. I'm sure they're trying to figure out how they're going to pay for this. They're going to have to go in debt. They're going to have to borrow money from China, probably. If they borrow money from the States, they're just borrowing it from China, so I'll just go to China. In Singapore, they'll be looking at some major funds to help them out here, because alone, without it, they can't. So, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this. This is, 101. What is a social venture versus a nonprofit? Nonprofits are dinosaurs. They're white elephants. I was disgusted when the little experience I've had with nonprofits. It made me hate them. To be honest, they do good, but they're wasteful. They are people who are basically greedy and take advantage of the goodwill of people, in my view. And they should be transparent, and they're not. And a lot of them are evil. I'm sorry, that's how I feel. They're evil. And I'd love to see them changed into something better. And I think they can. And I think by leading the way with, with the social venture platform that I envision, and really, what I'm doing is I'm adapting the Open Incubator framework, in a way to, to the solution. So, so to give you an idea. All right, I hope you enjoyed that anyway.